Hello and welcome to my channel. If you enjoy the repetitive movements of crochet and a scary story, then you have come to the right channel. Wear headphones so you get the full effect of ASMR. We're going to go ahead and jump into today's story, which is titled The Tragic Story of the ELIZA Battle. When warm, wet weather in early March is suddenly followed by storms and rapidly dropping temperatures, I cannot help but think of the ill-fated ELIZA battle. In the 1850s, the ELIZA battle was one of the most palatial steamboats on the Tombigbee River, carrying at times 60 passengers and 2,000 bales of cotton from the Aberdeen, Columbus area to Mobile. Today, she is the subject of numerous ghost stories, and her name has become synonymous with famous ghost ships such as the Flying Dutchman and the Mary Celeste. The story of her loss by fire on a freezing, flooded Tombigbee River on March 1st, 1858, is one of the most horrific stories I have ever heard. On February the 28th, she had departed Columbus for Mobile, and after stopping at river landings including Pickensville, Warsaw, and Gainesville, she steamed south carrying about 60 passengers, 1,400 bales of cotton, and a crew of about 45. Her captain was S. Graham Stone, one of the most beloved and respected steamboat captains on the Tombigbee. As she proceeded to Mobile on a river flooded from warm, heavy rains, the temperature dropped 40 degrees within 2 hours. There were thunder and hailstorms, followed by a winter sleet storm. Ice formed wherever water splashed onto the boat, and large icicles hung from the boat's sides. Around 1:30 a.m., about 40 river miles from Demopolis, Alabama, the ELIZA battle caught fire. The fire was probably caused by sparks from the smokestacks of the steamer Warrior, which she had passed a little earlier. Captain Stone ordered the crew and male passengers to save the women and children first. The steamer's lifeboat and yawl were both at the stern and were quickly enveloped by the flames. Because of the flooded river, the ELIZA battle could not make a landing and the passengers and crew were left with little a choice of death by fire on the boat or freezing in the icy water. Most accounts list 33 as the number who perished, and the disaster was extremely covered by newspapers from New York to New Zealand. An investigation of the disaster followed, with a report being made in Congress. The investigation found that the inability to use the lifeboat was a major contributor to the loss of life. The report concluded that there was a need for lifeboats on boats to be available and in such manner that they may be of ready access in case of accident. This was one of the several amazing similarities between the ELIZA battle disaster and the Titanic, which sank 64 years later. While I was working on my book, The Tom Bigby Steamboats, I had discussed the ELIZA battle story with the Pulitzer Prize-winning historian Walter McDougall, who said all the story needed was a romantic element, twist. Then a couple of weeks later, while going through some material in old copies of the Birmingham Age Herald and the Macon Beacon, I found that the ELIZA Battles story actually had a subplot that you could not make up. Mary Taylor was young, beautiful, and the heiress to a large estate in West Alabama. Everyone assumed that she would marry Philip Saunders, her childhood sweetheart. However, that was not the case, for she fell in love with and married another. Saunders graciously accepted his loss, but still maintained his affection for Mary. The wedding was in late February 1858, and the entire wedding party, including the rejected Saunders, was to travel to Mobile to attend more festivities. On February the 28th, the festive party boarded the steamer ELIZA Battle at Warsaw, Alabama, a Tombigbee River landing southeast of Macon. When the battle caught fire, the new bride and groom embraced and leaped together into the freezing, swirling river. Both sank, but Mary appeared again on the surface, gasping for air. Saunders saw her and dove in, grasping her hand. He swam with her to a tree, where he pulled her up and tied her to a limb to wait rescue. For days after they were rescued, Mary lay lingering between life and death, and Philip tended to her needs. After her recovery, she entered into a state of depression over the loss of her husband and would have no part of society or Philip Saunders. With the outbreak of the Civil War, Saunders enlisted in the Confederate Army. His love for Mary had never abated, and he had never married. He was always found in the thickest fighting and rose to the rank of colonel. During the fighting around Vicksburg, he was seriously wounded while heroically saving the life of another. His wounds were life-threatening, and he seemed to possess no desire to live. Carried to a private home for treatment, hope was almost gone. It was then that a carriage arrived carrying the lost bride of years past. She had come to return and did return the life-saving favor of 5 years earlier. 2 lives separated by lost love and disaster were reunited. I hope you enjoyed today's story. It was less like a ghost story, more about tragedy and then finding each other again. I think that happens in life sometimes. Some of these stories that are tragic often have bitter or happy endings. So I do hope you enjoyed today's story and my crocheting. I am currently working on a bag, so you'll see the crochet in a few of my videos. If you do enjoy ASMR, comment below on a story you would like to have told in either soft spoken or a whisper video. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell because I do upload regularly. I hope you have a wonderful evening. Stay well and scared.